you are an outfit repeater.
Hey guys, this week I will be making some clothing in the Gothic style. I'm very excited for this one. The goth or Gothic style has always been one that I've really loved and appreciated. I had my legitimate goth phase back in middle school, but it is still a style that continues to have a place in my wardrobe and a place in my heart. And I am focusing on just Gothic style as a clothing aesthetic, not getting into the music subculture, which I know there's a whole lot of overlap there. Maybe it's about time I got into goth music. But anyway, just focusing on Gothic style clothing for this, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to start with is this little t-shirt dress thing. As you can see, it's very short. This has been going back and forth from the alterations pile in my wardrobe for a couple years now because I'm not sure what to do with it. So mostly I've worn this over leggings. I used it in a video once last summer, but really the length is just not working for it to be anything useful, really. So our first thing that I'm making is going to be a thrift flip using this tunic shirt dress thingy because I want to make it actually commit to being a dress.
You've got commitment issues, you need to choose.
So what I'm going to do is use this lace from a dress that I thrifted last year solely for the fabric, and I'm going to use this lace to add an insert right here. So I'm going to cut it, add a lace insert that'll extend the length, and then have like a really cool sheer see-through kind of detail. And then if I'm feeling really adventurous, I might also add long sleeves to it. I don't know if you're envisioning what I'm envisioning, but hopefully you'll get the idea as we go along. After marking and cutting the top where I wanted it split, I separated a panel of lace from the bodice of a thrifted lace dress. Thankfully, it was the same width around as the top. I pinned the lace panel over the top half of the top with right sides together and sewed along that bottom edge. I used my serger since these are both stretchy knits, but a zigzag stitch on a regular machine will work too. I then repeated this step with the bottom half of the top. Once the panel was inserted, I still needed to make some adjustments and trim away excess fabric where the material had stretched a bit. Alright, it's looking pretty good. So let's add some sleeves. I separated the tiers of the thrifted lace dress, then cut those into 4 equal length pieces. I then put these right sides together and sewed along each side to create 2 lacy ziti noodles. Next, I cleaned up the cuff and attached the sleeves to the dress. I turned both the sleeve and the dress inside out, and placing the solid fabric inside the lace, I used a zigzag top stitch to secure it. So the next thing I want to make is a long tiered skirt with ruffles, something like this. And to do that, I have this fabric that I salvaged a couple years ago. It was being used to block out light from a window backstage, and I'm pretty sure this was just a bed sheet that was torn in two, and they were just gonna throw it away afterwards. And I said, hey, can I take that? Finally gonna use this. And if you're wondering why I'm filming over here, it's because my husband is sleeping in our living room. I don't know why he loves to just turn on the heater and sleep on the couch over there. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna be sewing loudly, like with my serger. I don't know. Here are the approximate measurements I used for each tier. I decided to go with a smaller increase for each layer than I usually do, since I didn't want super bulky ruffles. Once all the tiers were cut and labeled, I hemmed the shorter pieces that would make up the top layer of ruffles. And here is where I made a mistake that would bite me in the butt later. I started by top stitching the short ruffles to their corresponding tier along the horizontal seams, but I should have first connected each piece to itself along the back vertical seam. Basically, I should have made each piece into a loop before anything else. We'll come back to this point. Using a contrasting thread, I made a gathering stitch along the top edge of the bottom 3 tiers. Thus ensued a royal crap ton of gathering and top stitching each successive tier. And here is where that mistake caught up to me. In order to not trap the top layer of ruffles inside the back seam, I had to unpick the ends of each horizontal seam, connect the back vertical seams of each layer individually, like I should have at first, and then go back and refinish the horizontal seams connecting the tiers. Ultimately, it did work out, but it was a lot of mental gymnastics that I could have avoided. Lesson learned. The last thing to do was create a casing along the top edge and insert the elastic waistband.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away, but I've known you too long.
The last item I made was a detachable collar inspired by this photo I found on Pinterest. I used this velvet shirt that's been sitting in my fabric stash for a few years. I started by drafting a pattern on some scrap fabric. It took me a few tries to get a shape and fit that I liked. I cut out 3 different layers for the collar, the top velvet layer, a fusible interfacing, and a bottom lining layer using leftover fabric from the skirt I just made. After fusing the interfacing to the velvet, I cut a long strip of black chiffon for the ruffle that was 1.5 times the distance of the collar's outer edge and trimmed it down to 2 inches wide. My initial plan was to create a rolled hem on the ruffle, but it came out too messy and too bulky for my liking, despite my tests on scrap fabric working out fine. So this was plan B. What could possibly go wrong? It took forever, but singeing the ends of the chiffon definitely created a cleaner, less bulky finish. I gathered the ruffle and pinned it facing in toward the velvet. Except I ended up completely redoing the entire ruffle at about 10 p.m. last night. Yeah, after I had it basted to the velvet, I decided the ruffle wasn't, ruffly enough. So I made a completely new strip of chiffon that was twice as long as the collar's outer edge and redid all of that nonsense. Why am I like this? Anyway, I basted a couple ribbon ties onto the front edges, pinned the bottom lining layer so that the ruffle was sandwiched inside, and stitched all along the outer edge of this spicy goth calzone, leaving a 3-inch opening at the back of the inner edge. I clipped and notched the seam allowance before turning everything right sides out.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares. Standing right there.
So those are the 3 pieces I made this week. I'm pretty happy overall with how they turned out. I think these are going to be really versatile pieces that will mix and match pretty well with a lot of stuff I have in my wardrobe, but also will be useful when I do want to lean into a more gothic style. So the skirt, I really have no notes for myself on. I was a little bit concerned that the ruffles wouldn't be ruffly enough. I was a little bit concerned that I should have done a 1.5 times increase for each layer, but I think these are fine. I'm content with it. And the fit and the length turned out good too, so I'm happy with the skirt. This one I'm also very pleased with, and I'm so relieved to have done something with the stupid t-shirt dress that has just been bouncing around my wardrobe for a couple years now, wandering aimlessly. It has been given new life, and I'm very happy with that. Still having a little bit of issue with the fabric stretching around where I inserted the middle panel. I might have to remove a little bit more fabric yet, but otherwise I'm happy with this. Yeah, just so relieved to have done something with that stupid t-shirt. And then the collar, for some reason, I am not as in love with as I thought I would be. And I think it's just my perfectionism kicking in. This was way more complicated to make than I anticipated. I don't know why I thought it would be easier, probably because it's just slapping a few layers of fabric together, but the ruffle is really where the difficulty came in, getting everything to line up, and I just could not get the ruffliness to be evenly distributed around that outer edge. It was really hard to make it even. It ended up being shorter on this side, so I had to trim some of this once it was already in place. And then the ribbon, I actually layered it incorrectly. It's down a layer, it should be up a layer, so I could just snip these off and reattach them like on top or on the lining layer, and I think that would be fine. I don't know why I'm struggling with the collar so much. Like I said, I think it's just perfectionism kicking in, because objectively, this is freaking adorable. Like, this is so cute, right? Validate me, please. And I think it will be a really nice touch to add over my sweaters or anything with like a crew neck that I just want some more embellishment. Yeah, it is really cute. I don't know why I'm like, I think I was just overtired. But this is cute. I don't know why I'm overthinking it. It's fine. So if you're still here, still watching all the way to the end, leave a little bat emoji down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and subscribe. Bye! This is just for you people who watch the bloopers. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, okay? Come here, I'll tell you a secret. I didn't 100% finish this. I still need to stitch up the little hole in the back by hand. Shh. I just got too tired and needed to call it a night at about 2 a.m. last night, so.
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't know.